How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to an episode here on Let's Build Twitter. As always, I'm Ethan, or Unknown Coder, your favorite underqualified senior software engineer. And if you guys do want access to the private repository for this project, there is a link in the description down below that'll walk you through exactly how to gain access to that. Now let's go and hop into what we're working on today. Last episode, we made it so that whenever we searched for a list, we could actually see like list cards like here. So this episode, what we want to go ahead and do is set it up so that whenever you have our discover list, we can actually see those list cards. And we're also going to go ahead and work on so you can click on follow and then hopefully see them in your list. I don't know if we're going to be able to actually see them in your list this episode, just because I don't know if we have time to render it, but we'll see. So let's go ahead and hop into the code, get to work here and get it so we can actually try to follow a list. Starting out on the front end here, we want to go ahead and go into our discover list. And what we need to go and do is we need to come in here and let's go ahead and finish setting this up. So we have our loading suggested and suggested. We're going to go ahead and have a const navigate to show more. It's going to be equal to an error function react.mouse event, mouse event on an HTML, and this is going to be on a div, maybe element. Okay, let's close that, and then here we're just going to e.stop propagation for the time being, and we're going to go ahead and console.log. We need to go ahead and to do so we don't forget to finish this. It's going to be navigate to show more list page. So now that's set up. So now if we come down to show more here, we can go on click this guy, and that's going to be equal to navigate to show more, like so. So that's set up. And then I believe all we need to go ahead and do is just render the list here. Let's go ahead and set up a return. We're going to go ahead and this is going to be a list card, like so. The list is going to equal to list, and then hover enabled is going to be equal to true. We want to be able to hover it. Display options is going to be equal to true. True, maybe. And then show pin is going to equal to false. So that is looking good. We don't need this list card. I scuffed that. Now what we need to go and do is we need to go into the discover list component and actually style it so it looks good. So let's hop in there. Inside the CSS, we're going to start with .discover, discover list, like so. Width is going to be 100% of the component. Height will be fit-content. And then we're going to go ahead and have a min-height. This is going to be of 300 px, and then a border on the bottom of this one, 1 px solid. We're going to go pound AA B8 and C2. Make sure we do the right color. We're going to have dot discover, discover dash list, if I could type, dash header. Inside the header, we're going to have width of 100%. We're going to have a margin of 0, and then a padding of 12 px, 16 px. Have a font dash, font dash size, going to be 20 px. And finally, we're going to have a font dash weight. If I could type, that'd be really cool. I cannot type this morning. Font weight of 800. Next, we're going to have our discover dash list dash and then show dash more. Inside of show more, we'll go ahead and have a width of 100%, and then we're going to have a margin of 2 px 0. We're going to go ahead and have a padding of 12 px, 16 px, and a display of flex. We're going to go ahead and align items in the center, and then have a font dash size on this of about 15 px, a font dash weight of 400, and then we need a color of pound, and this one is going to be 1D A1 and F2, our blue color, so it looks good. And finally dot discover dash list, if I could spell discover right, discover list dash show dash more, and hover. Inside here, I just have a cursor pointer. We're going to have a background dash color, and it's going to be RGBA. And it's just going to be a dark or a light gray, so 000.1 that we can see through. So that looks good. Now let's make sure that this is working. I didn't typo any of the CSS, which is possible. So now we can see we haven't set up this stuff yet, but this is looking better. Show more is not quite working, so I did mess up something in show more. Let's just see what's going on with this guy. So if we hover this, did I just typo something? So discover list learn dash more. Oh, this should be, I typoed. Let's hop into the component here. So here I put learn more. This should probably be show more. So let's go ahead and put this as show more, like so, because that's what's actually showing. Let's go and see what it looks like now. It looks better. I believe that's how it should look. Obviously, if we click on this, all it's going to do is just say to do, because we're not actually navigating it. So that looks good. So now what we need to go and do is we need to set up a sidebar here where it's going to have like an area to follow. It's also going to have like an area to pin. We're not going to do the pin yet, but it is what it is. But that's looking good. So now what we need to go and do is we need to hop into the backend, set up the backend logic to actually go ahead and follow, and then we can come back in here and set that up. So let's hop into the code, get into the backend, and we need to go ahead and start up by creating a new DTO. In the backend, we just went ahead and opened up a random class, which is going to say shift JC. We're going to go and put this in DTO, and this is going to go ahead and be called follow list response. Go and open this up. Inside this, we're going to go ahead and have a private, maybe, and string operation. And we're going to go ahead and have a private and custom, and this is going to be feed. It's going to be a list. So this is going to be the one that we follow. Let's go ahead and set up a no args. If I could type, that'd be cool. And let's make sure we import that. Base CA. So we're going to go ahead and set up a constructor with no arguments. We're going to go ahead and set up a constructor with all arguments. Let's go ahead and get our getters and setters. We'll go ahead and do a toString really quick. And that looks good. So we can go and clean this up really quick just so we can kind of see the differences in the different areas. But there we go. So we're going to tell the front end whether we are following or unfollowing. And then we're going to go ahead and also pass back the list to add or subtract. So now let's go and hop into our feed service and set up the logic for following. So let's scroll down. We'll go ahead and come below where our create list and all that stuff is. So we can go ahead and just come down here, I guess. Here we're going to go ahead and have a public, and this is just going to return a single list. Actually, no, I lied. We just made that whole thing follow list response. There we go. Follow, and then it's going to be unfollow, and then list for user. A little bit of a long name, but it is what it is. We're going to have an integer, and this will be list ID. Integer list ID. And then we're also going to have an application user, and we're going to pass in the user. We could have done slightly different. We could have passed these in parameters, whatever, but it is what it is. And then we're going to have a custom feed list equal to custom feed, maybe, repository dot find by ID. And then inside here, we'll go ahead and pass in that list ID dot or else throw. And for the time being, we'll just go ahead and do one of these. And this will be a new runtime exception. And we're going to come back through and create a custom exception from that. But for now, I don't want it being mad at us, basically. We're going to have a string operation equal to an empty string. And then we'll say set, if I could type, application user. Inside this, we'll go ahead and call this followers equal to, and then list.get followers. So we'll go ahead and get the current followers. We're going to go and say if, and then followers.contains, and we're going to go ahead and check for the user. And I don't know if we need to grab the actual user or not. I think this is working and fine, but we'll see here. We'll say followers.remove. So if they exist, we'll go ahead and remove that user. And we're going to go ahead and set the operation equal to unfollow. Here we could have done all uppercase, could have done all lowercase. It is what it is. Else, we're going to go ahead and say followers.add. And we'll go ahead and add that user. And then we're going to say operation. It's going to be equal to follow. Looks good. And then finally, we'll say list.set followers, like so. And we're going to go ahead and pass in those follower lists. And we'll go ahead and say list is equal to custom feed repository dot save. We're going to go ahead and pass in that list again. And then finally, we'll go ahead and return a new follow list response. Here, we'll go ahead and pass in that operation that we set. We'll go ahead and pass in that list and we should be on our dandy way. So that looks good. Now let's go ahead and create this custom exception we want. So let's go ahead and say space JC, and it's going to go inside our exceptions. And then this is going to be called custom feed does, oops, maybe not exist exception. Let's go ahead and hop in here. So here is going to have a public and then a custom feed does not exist exception. We'll go ahead and make an no argument constructor. And this is going to call super. And then here we're just going to say the list you are looking for does not exist. This shouldn't happen, but you never know. Let's do a public and custom feed does not exist exception, the string message, and we'll go ahead and just call super message. Let's go ahead and save this, and let's see. Oh, it's because I need to extend runtime exception. Let's not forget to do that. Extends and then runtime exception. There we go. And then now let's hop back into our feed service and get that set up. And then finally, inside of our feed service, let's come into our follow unfollow list for a user. Let's go ahead and replace this with that. So let's delete this, and this is going to be custom feed does not exist ::new, and pass that, and that is looking good. Now we need to go and hop into our feed service, and I guess I never set up a handler for this. Maybe we come back and do that in a different episode. If not, I'll try to remember to do it in a different episode, but I'm just going to go ahead and follow along with what we want to do in this one. So let's go and hop into the feed controller, and then let's just go ahead and come below our suggested or search. I guess it doesn't really matter. So go ahead and say at post mapping, and actually it's going to be put mapping, so I lied. Put mapping, because I guess we are updating it. It's going to be /follow/ID. And then inside here, we're going to have a public and, whoops, maybe follow list response. And this is going to be update followed by. And then here, we're going to have an at path variable. And this is going to go ahead and be our ID. And this will be an integer ID, and we're also going to have an at request body, and this is going to be an application user, which is the user that is currently logged in. Inside, we're just going to go ahead and return our custom feed service dot, and then follow or unfollow list for user. We'll have our ID, we'll have our user, and that should be good to go. Go and save that up. Let's import the stuff that we need. Let's go ahead and import put mapping. Let's go and import our follow list response, and then let's also go ahead and import our path variable. That looks good. So now let's go ahead and rerun our application because it doesn't look like it restarted. And then once it gets rerun and hopefully everything compiles and works, we can go and hop into our front end again. Cool, everything looks good. Let's hop into our front end code. Inside our front end, now we want to go ahead and open up our list slice that set up the ability to actually follow. Inside of our list slice, we're going to want to go ahead and create a new async thunk. So let's just go ahead and go below our current async thunks. We're going to go ahead and say export const, and this is going to be follow or unfollow, and then list is equal to async thunk, and we need to actually create async thunk. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and give this a name, a list/follow. Whoops, not slash list/follow, just list/follow. And then we'll go ahead and set up our async function. If I could type, that'd be cool. I can't type today. Well, when can I type? But today's extra bad. And payload is a pin list and request. I guess we need to go ahead and create this pin list request, which we never did. Let me go through and find that. And then we'll have our thunk API, and we'll do this. Let me go ahead and find this pin list request. We must share it because obviously we're not pinning a list. And I'm guessing it's probably just the user token and the ID. So let me just check really quick in my GitHub code and we'll fix that. Yep. So if we come in here, let's just go ahead and go below this interface here, and we can actually come above this interface. So interface and list request is basically going to use the same exact things that we did. So we could have named this something else. We're going to have a list ID, number of a user, which is a user, and if we need to import that, we can. And then finally, we'll have a token, the string. That looks good. Now this should be not mad at us anymore, so that looks good as well. Next, inside, we'll go ahead and set up our try and our catch. This one we are concerned about it breaking. So here we're going to go ahead and have a catch E and then return thunk API dot reject with value, pass in E. We might need to set up a failure state here. I'm not sure. So if we need to, we'll come back for that. Const res is equal to await axios dot put. And then here we're going to go ahead and say http / local host 8000 / and then list / follow / and then $ curly brace. So this should actually backticks. So backticks and backticks $ curly brace, and it's going to be payload maybe dot list ID, and then comma. We also need a body, so here we need to pass in the payload dot user as the body, and then we can set up our headers. So here I have our headers, and inside of our headers we're going to need our authorization. So authorization backticks var, and then $ curly brace. This is going to be payload dot token. Looks good. That should be everything for our response. Here we return res.data, and then now we're going to find out if we end up actually doing a loading in not state. It doesn't look like it. Looks like we just do fulfilled, so fair enough. This one we probably should have had some sort of error state, just because I feel like it's probably at risk to fail, but it is what it is. Let's come below our pending or fulfilled here, builder.add case, and this is going to be for our follow or unfollow list, and then it's going to be dot fulfilled like so. And then here we'll have our state and our action. We actually need to do some logic inside this one. First, we're going to say const updated suggested is equal to state dot suggested dot map. And we're going to go ahead, have our list. And then inside here, we're going to say if our list dot ID is equal to action dot payload dot list dot ID. Then we're going to go ahead and return our action.payload.list. And then otherwise, we're going to go ahead and return list. Now, the reason why we're doing this is because it still shows up inside the suggested, but it's going to go ahead and be displayed slightly different. It's going to have like an unfollow button instead of a follow button. So we need to go ahead and update that list to make sure it says, hey, we've been updated, we are followed. Next, we're going to say updated list is equal to action dot payload, and then dot operation is equal to, and then follow question mark. Here we could have done like 2 lowercase and do all that stuff, but this should be fine. If that's the case, we're going to say action dot payload dot list comma dot state dot list. Otherwise we're going to go ahead and say state dot list dot filter, and then we're going to go ahead and say list and do an arrow function. List.id is not equal to, and then action.payload.list.id. So here we're basically either adding the list to our list or removing it, whether or not we followed it or unfollowed it, and then return. Here we're going to go ahead and say .state, and then we're going to say list is going to be our updated list, and then we'll say our suggested is going to be our updated suggested, maybe. So what we're doing here is we are going through and making sure all of the lists in our updated, or all the lists in our suggested, are updated. So if we followed a list of our suggested, we want it to go ahead and actually reflect that, and show an unfollow button. And then inside of our lists themselves, the ones that we're rendering on the bottom, we want to go ahead and redisplay this if we followed it, or if we unfollowed it, we want that to go away. So that is looking good. So now we need to go ahead and hop into our list card and set it up so we can actually click on a follow button. So let's hop in there. So inside of our list card, we left a little space at the bottom here inside of display options. So we need to go ahead and fill out. But before we do that, and I might need to actually, nope, we should be good. I'm sorry, I got a little bit sidetracked, but first we need to go ahead and set up a const here. So const, and this is going to be handle follow and clicked equal to an e react.mouse event on an HTML div element. I don't know if we actually have our dispatch brought in, so we might need to bring that in as well. It doesn't look like it. So underneath our selector, let's go ahead and bring in our dispatch. So const dispatch is an app dispatch equal to use dispatch. I had so much code in this like section that I worked on that I just forgot to bring some stuff in, unfortunately. So that happens sometimes. We're gonna stop propagation. That's very important on this because there's different things you can click on. I'm gonna say if we are logged in and we have a token, we can go ahead and click on this, and we'll go ahead and dispatch. And in dispatch, we're gonna go ahead and dispatch follow or unfollow list. And inside here, we're gonna go ahead and have a list ID. It's gonna be list.id. We're gonna go ahead and have user, which is logged in, and then we're gonna go ahead and have our token. That looks good. So now whenever we click on the follow button, it should go ahead and dispatch a follow request. So now we need to come down to our show options here, and this is where we're gonna go ahead and set this stuff up. So we're gonna go ahead and delete this stuff, and we're gonna get to it now. So inside, let's go ahead and clean this up a little bit. Inside, we're gonna go ahead and have a show pin question mark. If that's the case, then we're gonna go ahead and have a div class name equal to and list card pin. On click, we're just gonna have nothing happening right now because we're not pinning a post or a list in this one. And then below show pin, we're gonna go ahead and have this for now just to keep it happy, and then we'll just show an empty fragment. So we'll get to that later. I just wanted to make sure this wasn't airing out or anything. Then in here, we're gonna go ahead and have another set of this, and we're gonna say list.pinned by and list.pinned by .sum, and we're going to pass in user, and this is kind of ugly, but it's what it is. User.user ID is equal to logged in question mark dot user ID. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and say question mark. So if it's pinned by us, we want to go ahead and have a push pin from material UI. SX is equal to, and this is going to be height of 22px. We're going to go and have a width of 22px, and then we need a color of pound, and then this is going to be 1D, a 1F2. Looks good. Otherwise, if it's not followed by us, we're going to go and have a push and outlined from material UI. It doesn't look like it wants to bring it in for us, so it's going to be fine. SX is equal to height will be 22px, and maybe I forgot to close that or something, we'll see. Width is 22px. It's definitely close, so I don't know why I didn't want to import. We'll deal with it in a sec. And then color is going to be the same color, so we're going to go ahead and say pound 1D A1 and F2. So if we're pinned it, if we have it pinned, we'll go ahead and show like a filled in pin. If we don't have it followed or pinned, we will show an outlined pin. So that looks good. And then now we're going to go ahead and come down here, and we're going to go ahead and say list.sum, and then inside here we're going to have L, and L.id is equal to list.id, and then we're going to go ahead and have a question mark. So here we're going to go ahead and have a div, say class name equal to list card remove, and then here on click will equal to handle follow clicked, like so. So here we want to go ahead and remove this. So this is going to go ahead and be a check, and this can come from a UI SX equal to, and here we're going to have height will be 20px, and we're going to go ahead and have a width of 20px, and it's just going to be black, so it looks fine. Otherwise, let's go ahead and have another div. If I could type, that'd be cool. Have another div, the class name equal to list card add. So we want to go ahead and follow it. On click equal to handle follow clicked. And then inside here, we're going to go ahead and have an add. This is also going to come from material UI. Once it lets us import it, our height will go ahead and be 20px. And then our width will go ahead and be 20px. And then we will have a color of white on this one, so it looks good. Let's go ahead and import add, and I think that should be everything for this. Now the thing is, obviously if we typoed anything or broke anything. So that'll be fun as well. But we aren't complaining, so that's looking good. Now we need to go ahead and do is style this, and then we should be able to hop into the component or inside of our Discover and try to actually follow something, make sure everything is working. We're not going to be rendering it inside of the list section or your list section. I think we're going to do that in the next episode, but we can at least see it pop up there. So let's go and hop into the list card CSS and style this guy up. Inside the CSS, let's just come ahead and come down here to the bottom. So first say list dash card dash pin. So width is going to be 34px. Our height is going to be 34px. We're going to have a display of flex, and we're going to go and justify content. Justify content in the center. We'll align items in the center, and then we're going to have a border of none and a border dash radius of 100%. Okay, looks good. Next we have a list dash card dash pin on hover. Inside hover, we're going to go ahead and have a background, background, maybe, dash color, RGBA, and this is going to be 29, 161, 242, 0.2. It's going to be like Twitter blue, but a little bit lighter. And cursor will be pointer. Next I have dot list dash card dash add. Inside of list card add, width will only be 30px. Height will be 30px, maybe. And then we'll again have a display of flex. We'll justify content in the center. We'll align items in the center, if I could type. And then we will go ahead and have a border of none. And then we'll have a border dash radius of 100%. And we'll also have a background, background dash color. And this is going to be black. So next we'll also have a list card hover dot list card add and then hover. Here we'll go ahead and have a cursor, a pointer, and we'll have a background dash color, maybe, and this is going to be RGBA 0,0,0, and we did 0.9. Really, we could probably do 0.8 as well, just to make it a little bit lighter, but it's still going to be pretty dark black. And then finally we'll have our dot list dash card and then dash remove. So here we'll once again have a width of 30px, of a height of 30px, and then we're going to go ahead and have a display of flex. We'll justify content in the center. We'll align items in the center, and we'll have a border of 1px solid, and this is going to be black. Inside here we'll have a border dash radius of 100% to make it a circle, and then we'll have a color, we'll actually have a background first, background of transparent, and then we will have a color black to make sure that our font size is black or our font is black, and then a list dash card dash remove hover. And here we'll go ahead and have a border, and this will be 1px solid and red. And then we're going to go ahead and have a color set to red and a cursor set to pointer, and finally a background dash color of, and this is going to be RGBA. We'll say 256 for red, 0,0,0.2. So that should be good. Let's go ahead and save this up. Now, if we didn't mess up any of the CSS or anything, it should look pretty good. So let's go and hop into our front end and just see how we're looking here. And fingers crossed I didn't break any of the logic either. So let's go ahead and refresh. I restarted our server. So let's go ahead and create some lists really quick. So we're logged into some. Let's go ahead and say list to follow 1. And I'll go ahead and say a test list to follow really quick. A test list to follow. Go ahead and say list to follow 2, and we'll go ahead and just put in another test list to follow. We'll say 3, another test list to follow 4 and 5. Let's create a few. Looks good. Let's go ahead and refresh. Fingers crossed. Look good. We broke, there we go. I was gonna say we broke that. I can't tell if these are changing colors, so that's why I said we could probably make them a little bit lighter. But I want to go ahead and open up our network tab just to see if whenever we click on these, they do what we want. So if we click on this, you can see now we have this guy. it came through, we can see that we have a response with this guy in it, and you can see that now this is like a check mark. Instead of this being an add button, it popped up down here. So now if we click on this, it should go away. Our list go away, this goes away, and we can follow this one. So that is looking good. So that's what we wanted to get done today. Next episode, we're probably gonna go ahead and go through and start displaying them inside here, and then also be able to like pin and unpin them so that they stay at the top of the list and all of that good stuff. So as always, if you guys did enjoy, please like, comment, and subscribe. Everything helps out here with the YouTube algorithm. If you do want to see we start from absolute scratch to get to the point now, there's gonna be a playlist in the in-card link either over here or over here, one of those two. But anyway, y'all, I really appreciate you. If you did enjoy, like I said, please like, comment, and subscribe. This has been Ethan or Unfollow. Have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next video.